classic example of evolution. In this module, we will discuss one of the most popular example of evolution. Though evolution takes place gradually and slowly over thousands and millions of years, and it is very, very difficult, or we can say it is impossible to observe in a short span of time the occurrence of evolution in a body of organism. But through this example, this is a very well-known example of evolution in which we can highlight, or we can monitor the changes of the evolution occurring in a peppered moth. The peppered moth and its very famous story, amazing story of the peppered moth has made the peppered moth very much popular all over the world. A very interesting story. This peppered moth is also being called as the Darwin's moth because it's following all the steps of evolution in a very short span of time and explaining all the complexities of evolution by changing the color of the peppered moth. And this is a very much famous and classical example of the Darwin theory of natural selection. So we are going into the details that what been happened to this peppered moth with the passage of time. In this slide, we can see both the variations found in the peppered moth. It's been found in the United Kingdom in both its varied forms. The most common form of the peppered moth before the industrial revolution was this lightish color of the peppered moth having dot spots in its body, while the other one, which was observed and reported after the industrial revolution, the moth with a totally darkish body. Before the industrial revolution, the trunks of the trees in the forest around Manchester were light greyish green, and this lightish greyish green color of the tree trunks was due to the presence of lichens on the tree trunks. So in these situations, the moth present over these tree trunks were usually of this coloration, because on that lightish greyish green color, this color imparts camouflage to this peppered moth from its predators. Most of the peppered moths in the area were light colored with dark spots before the industrial revolution, and that was a very good camouflage strategy by this peppered moth to get safe from the predators, because birds usually pick them as a food. So to avoid the predators, these colors provide the camouflage to this peppered moth. Before 1850, insect collectors have never collect any darkish color peppered moth from that specific industrial area in the Manchester city. As the industrial revolution progressed, the tree trunks were sedimented with soots, and so they became darkish in color. So as the tree trunks becomes darker and darker due to the sedimentations and accumulation of soots, industrial soots on their tree trunks, it was very difficult for the lightish color moths to get camouflage on that darkish color spots. And now these lightish color moths were became visible, and the camouflage strategy of them get failed, and then they were easily be seen by the birds and were picked easily. Now what happened that after 1850, the collectors also have collected majority of the moths in that area with darkened colored, which were never been collected prior to this industrial revolution. In this slide, we can see that here on this tree trunk, both the moths are sitting over here. This is a picture without the sedimentation of the industrial soot on the tree trunks. We can see that the dark color moth is visible over here on this tree trunk, but the light color moth is totally camouflaged over here, so it has the advantage of camouflage and will not be easily picked by the birds, while this one can be easily picked by the birds, so has no camouflage on this lightish color tree trunks. But as the soot gets sedimented on these tree trunks over here, we can see that because of the darkish coloration of the soot on this tree trunk, now the light color moth is easily visible here, while the darkish one has the advantage of camouflage over here. So as sedimentation of shoots occurred on the tree trunks, the moth has changed its color strategy by the gene expression system, because both the genes were present in the genome of this moth, but this was due to the camouflage strategy that the moth was expressing the type of gene for its camouflage. Over a period of 45 years, the dark variety of the peppered moth became more prominent, more dominated in that area, because the moth used this color change strategy as a camouflage strategy to avoid or to be picked by the birds as a source of food. Both forms of moth are preyed upon by birds. Birds pick them from the tree trunks and use them as a source of food. So the dark color is now in that changing environment is providing a camouflage strategy to the peppered moth, and it was wisely being used by this peppered moth to get synchronized with the changing environment, and it is occurring or changing its strategy against the predators. The increased number of dark moth in their specific ecosystem is a matter of natural selection, because natural selection taught us that nature is selecting some of the individuals of the species or some of the species according to their survival strategies. So those are picked by selected by the nature. Those who can modify themselves according to a changing environment, and the same strategy has been used by this peppered moth to accommodate the changing environment of the pollution, which is changing the color change of the tree trunks, and to avoid the predators to be picked by the predators, they are changing these type of color changing in them, and it's an adaptive strategy of natural selection in peppered moth.